everyone. Welcome back to another quick tip. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving holiday here in the U.S. I know I certainly have eaten way too much over the last couple of days, but hopefully I'll get to work that off here in the shop in the next couple of weeks. For today's quick tip, sticking with the plane tune-up theme that I've had going for the last couple of posts, I got a question or comment from someone who watched the last podcast episode on hand plane tune-up. So I thought I would talk about that today. The question is from Phil Lang, and he says, you commented much more extensively on adjusting the wedge of a wooden plane than on adjusting the lever cap on a metal plane. In my experience, correct adjustment of the tension on the lever cap is an important point for proper performance of the metal plane, yet this adjustment is rarely discussed in detail, and I can't recall seeing any quantitative discussion. Can you address the proper adjustment of the lever cap of a metal plane in more detail? Absolutely. So what the part that Phil is talking about, if you didn't see the last episode, is this here. This is the lever cap. And what this basically does is hold the blade and cap iron assembly to the frog of the plane, similar to how a wedge acts in a wooden plane. And what Phil is talking about is how the fit of this lever cap and the tightness of this lever cap can really affect how the plane performs in use. If the lever cap is too loose, the plane iron can shift around in use. It could back off slightly. It can shift laterally from left to right. And this is going to obviously impact how the plane performs. If the lever cap is too tight, for one, you're going to have difficulty actually locking the lever cap in place. And also you're going to have difficulty making adjustments to the depth of cut and also the lateral adjustment. What we're really looking to do is strike a balance, with how tightly this lever cap holds. We want the lever cap to hold tight enough that the iron doesn't move when we're using the plane, but we also want it to be loose enough that we can use the lateral adjustment lever and use the adjusting wheel on the back of the frog to still adjust the depth of cut and adjust the lateral adjustment of the iron without unlocking the lever cap. So how I've always done this, especially when you're putting the plane back together, how do you know how tight to make this screw? So what adjusts the tension in that lever cap is the screw that goes in the frog. So that screw screws right into the frog itself, into the bed here. The iron has a hole that goes over that screw. Everything settles onto the frog. I back the iron off, and the lever cap then goes over that screw. Now, if the screw's too loose, you can see this, the iron will move around way too easily, and that's not what we're looking for. What will happen is this whole assembly could come off in use. If it's too tight, again, you'll have trouble locking this down, and you won't be able to make adjustments in use. So I like to use a screwdriver and put everything together, and what I do is I'm just tightening this with just 2 or 3 fingers, and I stop as soon as that screw contacts the lever cap with the lever in the unlocked position. So I'm not tightening it past that point. I don't want to start flexing the spring of that lever cap yet. I'm going to let the lever do that. All I want is for the screw itself to make contact with the top of the lever cap. As soon as it does, that's far enough. I don't tighten it anymore. That still allows me to set and remove the lever cap without adjusting the screw. But when I lock this down, it will take some effort to lock down, and you'll hear that audible click. So it should take a little bit of force to lock it down, and that lever cap should click into place when you lock it down. What that does is ensures that the blade is now held tight enough to the frog that it's not going to move around in use, but loose enough that you can still adjust the depth of cut with the wheel. You can still make adjustments laterally with the lateral adjusting lever. So again, just a quick summary. Loosen your lever cap, screwdriver with just 2 or 3 fingers holding it, and tighten that lever cap just until the screw makes contact with the lever cap. And that's as tight as that needs to be, and you should hear that audible click when you lock it down. So that is my discussion. That's how I set and adjust the tension of that lever cap. And just as a final note for anyone who hasn't yet submitted an entry to receive this plane, make sure you go back and watch episode 11 and see how to do that. We have a little bit less than a week left. This coming Friday, December 4th, is the last day I'm going to be taking entries. At midnight on December 4th, all entry submissions will be closed. And then when I get up Saturday morning, I'll be pulling a name for the winner of the plane. So if you haven't done it yet, please go watch episode 11 and get your entry in for the plane before next Friday. Thanks. We'll see you guys.